All right.
Maya,
Yeah,
how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Where?
Yeah, broke up with Source for some reason.
Do you want me to?
He's back in the room.
Yeah, he's not in the room though. He's out.
Let me check with him.
Yeah. Do you want me to put you back in your room, and then when Saul comes out, put him back? You want me to keep you here for now?
Yeah, can you put me in a room and then Source should be coming back now.
Okay. Just did.
I feel so bad that we have to bother you all the time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. How was your Shabbos?
Yeah, it was good. You?
It was good. Thank God. Thank God. What's it like in South Africa these days?
It's pretty much full lockdown, no movement unless you need essential things. It's pretty hectic.
Is there any
It's
talk
chill.
of getting looser restrictions or no?
In not for the foreseeable future. It's pretty bleak,
Mm-hmm.
but we're surviving.
Right.
Yeah. Right, I'll see you later.
Okay. I'll put
Cheers. Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks.
So, never mind.
Okay, so the Mishnah says, right. Kol shemaisim rubim chachmasai miskayemes. The same idea as before, as the Rambam explains, that basically if you're into mitzvahs and then you do chachma, and the chachma will enhance your understanding of your mitzvahs. You want to learn it more and you want to know it more, so you'll retain the information. In other words, you learn a lot of theoretical Torah, but you're not that much into practical application of what you've been learning. So obviously the learning is a bit of a pain. Every time you read Hilchos Shabbos, you're not keeping it well. you don't feel comfortable about it, and you feel irksome, therefore you won't chazer and you won't retain the material. He says, same thing. Now, what does that mean? Now, what's the agdara of this thing? So this is Pashut. It's a Mishnah. It's the Mishnah at the beginning of the second parak. The Rebbe says, "Ezu derech yishor shiyav le'adam kol shetifers le'iseh v'tifers le'min adam." In other words, people, the Rambam explains, because people enjoy balanced people. It's fun with the erratic, crazy, up and down people. That's fun. You know what I mean? They're interesting. But at the end of the day, you don't want to, you want to buy the ticket, see the film, and then go away to a normal world. People want to live with balanced and harmonious people. People enjoy and perceive Tiferes equals a harmonious merging of their colors. They're not like up and down and around. And that's what it means. Tiferes, when Adam the Rambam explains, means a person which lives b'derech hamamutza. If you read Rambam there, you'll see it. That's the Rambam writes in Hilchos in Perek Beis Halacha Al. This is what it means over here. Kosher tifer, kosher ruach abiras naiche manu. Because you're a harmonious person, you live a normal, a harmonious life. And that's exactly what the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants, which is nothing. This is really a parallel. This Mishnah is a parallel to Perek Beis Mishnah Aleph. I want you to understand that. It's not, oh, people should like you. It's an important thing, people should like you. But the question is why? They can also like you because you're a terrible thief. And they can like you because of the reason. There's no inherent value of ruach menu. If you're a big, you're a big balavera, and you help everybody to say, I'm sure the people loved your Rav Ben Nevat. You know what I mean? So what? That's not the value. The pshat is, that's why I say the pshat is based on the Mishnah, Mishnah Aleph. It means if you live b'derech hamamutza, you're a harmonious person. These are people that anybody can enjoy being with. Because a person with derech hamamutza is inclusive. He's inclusive. He can live. He can enjoy people. He's not judgmental. It's pleasure to be with him, and that's why people want his company. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. That's the getter of this Mishnah. One more. I had this discussion this morning. We have this porch minyan, and it seems to be that the young yeshiva people think that they want an 8:30 minyan. I'm running off, going out of my brains already at 6 a.m. And they want to daven shachs at 8:30. So I think, I told them, I suggest we read this Mishnah. And this Mishnah says, Taisi ben Hilkiah say, Meshena shel shachris, v'yayin shel tzarayim, v'sichas hayolodim, v'yeshivas knesses shel am ya'arth, v'tzias adam en ha'ilam. That's say Shena shel shachris. Okay, so the Rambam was my Shena shel shachris. So he says basically, it's very simple. You sleep late. You awake. Shluffer, it's a machlev yeshiva bachrim. They have this hibernation syndrome. I don't know. They don't chop, brother. Go visit the base first. You see people sleep there for a long time. So why would you want to spend the time you have sleeping? It's like stupid. Okay, that's not people start indulging and partying at lunch, like these guys have, it's called hedonism, which means immature conversations. You know what I mean? I think they call it hacking, right? Hacking is the word. That it's I don't know what language it is. It's not in English. It must be something. It's yeshiva. It's English. I don't know what it is. Hacking. It means, the nayas. Okay, was is nayas, right? That's what they want to know. That's the yeshivas knesses shami oretz. That's the back seat. You ever seen every shul? You have the back seat where people are talking during the Kriyas Torah. That's called yeshivas knesses shami oretz. The guys in the shura achroina dorten, in the Meirah. This is my tzinius. You live, you enjoy, you engage in these people. Well, obviously, you're going to lose every mile you possibly have. That's enough. So the crowd is versus Nagel in Yanenu. They don't chop. This man started. You're supposed to be non-understander. I don't understand. What's the difference where you are? You're supposed to be 9 o'clock knocking it. I guess that I'm imagining everybody does that. Come on, Saul, open your face, and Noam and Aaron and Mordechai and Meir. Come on, I want to see you. And Elazar Rumelstein, you're Mr. E. Can you please show me your faces? Are you like
You can't
dressed?
see my face anyway.
Oh, that's
so
cool. I like that. You don't need that now. There's
They
no one
told me
around
I
you.
need
Is there anybody around you?
Mayor is
You're not
nearby.
in down to anybody. Come on, take it off. You look like the Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's not my choice, Rabbi.
You have to go around like this the whole time.
When I'm not in my room, I have to be like this. Yeah.
To see you. I want to see you. Come on. Okay. Come on, guys. Open up your dumb thing over there. Norm, what's wrong? You didn't comb your hair today? Open up. Oh, Sagnav, you got your cap on. That's good. Okay, you and me need a barber. Okay. I'm feeling like Shlomo Karlebach by now. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the way I'll change whatever hair I have left. I'll do it that way. Okay, let's go to business. And today I want to roll it and finish it. Okay, I'm going to explain, tie up whatever I want, whatever I can tie up, and I'm going to go. I'm going to start, I'm going to summarize it in a very orderly fashion from the beginning, things that we said and clarifying things I didn't say and adding multitude of things. Let's start from Aleph Beis again. We have in the Brisa in front of us, Daf Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis, a Brisa which describes a halacha of Shvach, Sheshofchen Nechasim Achim Mises Aviyim, that the Bchor is Neitel Pishnayim, and it says that Ketzad, what is the Ketzad? In Nechnum Aviyim Porim Ukers Umskez Biad Acherim, Oishay Serab Ba'ava V'Yolda Bchor Neitel Pishnayim. This is the din of Rebbe. Avobanu Batim Unatu Kramim Ein Bchor Neitel Pishnayim, and the Gemara says on this Hamani Rebbe. This is the Gemara. Let's just try to understand what happened over here. Here we have an interesting halacha. As far as the money's coming in the future, there's no question. This is definitely davar shaloi ba'al ha'olam. There's no question in anybody's mind that the sachar of Purim, Mucheres, and Muskeres is definitely a davar shaloi ba'al ha'olam. Since you need the guy to first find a client and to plow in someone's place, or if he's a seicher or a mucher, he has to like grow and he has to reap, and God help him. Who knows whether the weather will be good, whether there will be any revach at all. Okay, so this is the ultimate davar shalei ba'al ha'olam. It's peiros dekel. It's even worse because this isn't even avida d'asui. Nafal pikein. This is called that you're pishnayim. Okay, so let's understand. We're not talking in context of something which is totally, whether it's davar shabala olam or not bala olam. That would not be the criteria here. There's no way in this context that you would say that this is called davar it's called muhzik in the fashion of davar shabala olam. That's not true. So what is the agdor exactly here? The question is called matsui. The word is matsui. How do I know the word is matsui? Because I know this clearly in Das Rebbe and Rebbe in the Das Rashbam. Rashbam writes clearly in Daf Kuf Chav Daled Amud Beis on the Divrei Masav Yom Omer Eini Noitel Pishnayim. So if you go, let me just find it. The Balkorchi like Zachir Rachmana, the cost of losses like Cain Matana, Im Yurtzi Kabla, Im Yimchav Shalai Kabla, Im Zaklan Balkorchi, like Kai Rachmani Yerusha Matana. Avam, Ichelik Pshit, Tusa En Yochalema Shirish Balkorchi. That's number one. That's what I meant. I meant another piece. Oh, this is one. In the Ramasa Machelik Pashut Afagav Lematali Yada. How does he end? He ends in the last line and a half with Miu Roy Garment Gunshish Bichi Yasimim, Lai Shakla Pishnayim, the Lachiani, Bachala Shaya Matzalai. So the Mefurish and the Rashbam didn't understand that the Sugin of Kuf Chavdal Damid Aleph is based on the Bryce and Kuf Chavdal Damid base. That's Mefurish and the Rashbam. And as we understand as follows, I'll explain this carefully. You see, we have the Gemara in Daf Kuf Chavdal Damid Aleph, which has Mani Rebbe and brings the Bryce of Rebbe. And then the Gemara says, "My time at the Rabbanan." This is Amakar Losses Late Pishnai. Matanikaya Rachmana. Now, what does that mean? So it means, according to Shittas Rishbam, it means as follows: it is granted that the words "losses loy" means losses like to the bechor. As the Rashbam himself writes, Losses lay means to the Bechor. It means to say, as the lashon of the Rashbam is, the cost of losses lay ke'ein matana im yirtzu yekabla v'imche shelo lekabel ein nizakin leila adam bal kochai. The Kaya Rachman Yerusha Ela Matana. He parallels this to the din of Zechia. We're not Zeichet to a person something which he doesn't want. Someone doesn't make a kinyan for you if you don't want. It's a very interesting concept. Ein nizakin dorashu bal kochai. What does that mean? I don't make a kinyan for you something you don't want. First of all, it's interesting the language of mazakin. What does that mean? There's a lachia here. What's the getter of Zechia? That means someone is basically doing it for the father. What does this mean? Ein mizaken leila adam bal kochai. The loch of ein must mean ein mizaken. Okay, usually that's using the concept of noisen le al yedei acher. And enoch hinami, the Ran writes before that type of a language. Here's that type of a language. Let me just find it where he writes in Daf. Here it is. Right, Mefush. V'anoisim matanu mezakle dei acher. That's the Ran Kuf Chavav Amadal V'Ramasel Omer Rav Huna. Ein mekabel matanu zeich matanosa she'yishma v'yisrat sabah. He discusses shitas of Rashbam, and he uses the metaphor of mezakle dei acher. So one obviously wants to understand what exactly does that mean. I can understand. You can't give you a matana if you don't want one. We're talking about zikwe and matana. I'm giving it you through somebody, and therefore I'm doing the ma'aser kinyan for you, and the other person is actually doing it for you. He's zoiche for you, but it can't be done if you don't want it. It's called ein chavin la'adam shalei b'fanav. So he seems to be saying that the getter of matana of bechor is a getter of zikwe ayidei acher. Obviously, here it means zikwe ayidei apshutim, or zikui ayidei atfuso, one of the two. They're actually quite synonymous, but this is clear in the lashon of the Rashbam, as interpreted also mufurish in the Rashbam, in the Ran, in Kuf Chavav Amadal, to Ramasul Omer Rav Huna. So we do see the darshan this pasuk. Lasas lai means going to the Yairish, to the Bechor. Okay. Yet when it comes to the pshat in the Gemara of Lasas lai pi shnai matoni kayir rachmana ma matona adamata liyadei ab b'chorish adamata liyadei. Logically, if you understood that you learned the losses law is going obviously on the Bechor, so the logical read of the Gemara is Adamata Liyadei, that it comes to the Yad of the Bechor. Yad of Bechor, and this is, it's not coming to the Yad of Bechor. If you would learn that way, how would you understand the Gemara? So you would obviously understand the Gemara that it's coming to say there's no din of Shvach because it's not his Zuchus Mammon yet. It's not his at all. Now the question is, it's not his until the Chalukah. Whose is it? It belongs to the Tfusas Habayis, as we explained in the previous year, which means it's basically a corporation. It belongs to the Tfusas Habayis. I'm going to go with Shitas with the Rashbam, if I may. Everybody, there is no private ownership at all until Chalukah. The ownership is a corporate ownership, and one could have said, Chalukah means the Bechor has nothing until Chalukah. Privately, he's just part of a corporate ownership. Just when they break, he has two private ownerships, and it is supposed to what? That's the Chayr, the Pashup Shat, and the Gemara. According to that, what does it mean over here? What's the machlekes of Rebbe and Rabbana? Rabbana seem to be saying that what? That they're saying what? That ein loy lebchor kaidem Chalukah, and therefore they doesn't get shvach. Masha'enki, according to Rebbe, what are you going to tell me? Yashir lebchor kaidem Chalukah, and therefore he is going to get shvach. Now, the problem with this lies in multiple realities. First of all, to say that, we know the Gemara of Kuf Chavav that this is a machlokes of two Amoraim, sixth generation Amoraim in Das Rava. It's a machlokes of what Rava said. Rava is the fifth generation Amoraim. Did Rava say Yesh lo lebchor kaidem Chalukah, or did Rava say Ein lo lebchor kaidem Chalukah? The Gemara ends the Ma'aser in Amid Beis, Kuf Chavav Amid Beis. The Hilchasa. Look at the Gemara for a moment. The Hilchasa Yesh B'chlal, you should know, I've taught this multiple times, the language of the Hilchasa is usually an addition of Rabbanus Faroi. Just want you to remember that. That's the Hilchasa is usually an addition of Rabbanus Faroi. We dealt with this when we learned Sanhedrin, but I don't know, Dovi was there. Okay, we learned Sanhedrin, I think that's true. Okay, But Hilchus is addition. But whatever it is, that's the halacha. All the Rishon take that for given. That's the halacha. Now, what do we do here? If you say yesh, how can you possibly say that a machlokes in a Amoraim is a machlokes of a Rebbe and Rabbana? That's absurd. That clearly cannot be, and therefore logically, the other rabbis say tzorich iyun gadol, how we understand this, and therefore ad kedei kach that the Taishas there actually asked the question. It goes into different terutzim. Kuf chavav amabez divrei hamasla vehilchasa. Rashbam obviously will not enjoy that, and therefore he doesn't think that's the pshat in the Gemara here. What is the pshat in the Gemara here? What is the pshat in the Gemara here? So the Rashbam explains, he explains to the hands of the Meirish. To the hands of the Meirish. Now, what does that mean? So Rashbam explains that the criteria for Pishnaim is Yachal Tot, Lotus, Yachal Totus b'matana. Since it's a matana, so something which is a davar shloi b'layla, obviously you can't give it as a matana. And if you can't give it as a matana, the Meirish is not Meirish to the poor for Pishnaim. That's the criteria. That's of the kasha, with greatest respect, and that's the Rabban. That's Rabbana. Masha'en came so to speak. Rebbe doesn't darshan that. There's no such halacha. The davar shloi b'layla is not a problem. Is not a problem. Now you have to look at this carefully. What do we do with Rav Papa himself, which says in the continuance of the Gemara, Amar of Papa, Dikla v'alim, Arav asik shirtan kula amalai pligi. Dikla v'alim, Arav asik shirtan Dikla v'alim, that Rashbam katan hinech maviyim v'alim shinisaba acharken, v'chein hinech Arav asik shirtan zava v'nesiyapi b'kach kula ami Rav Rabban lepligi, v'shakir. That's a davar shloi b'laylam. Dikla v'alim is the equivalent of Peres Dekel. I'm going to tell you the alimus before it happened. Are you kidding? Can I sell you the alimus now before it happened? I can give you the goof, and the goof will grow. It will be yours. If I sell you just the alimus, just the added weight that will come, which isn't here yet, you get also davar shloi b'layla. My shna this and Peres Dekel. So I don't understand how does it work. Ad kedei kach the Rishonim asked the question. The Rabbeinu Yaina asked the question, and Rabbeinu Yaina writes in the Ramaschal, Amar of Papa Dikla Ba'alim Yesh Mefarshim. Who is this Yesh Mefarshim? I don't even know. It's a Rif and Ksubis. I have to look it up. Yesh Mefarshim, the Pliga Hadir of Papa Sugin Delael. That Enochanamir of Papa is arguing with the previous Gemara. The Rav Papa and Farsh Pluktai, the Rebbe Rabbana, the Rebbe Sava Kim, the Shvachim and Melu, Karina Bebechol Asher Yimatzalai. It's all totally what's called Yimotzei. The Ilu, Le'el, and beforehand on this page, Mefarshim, time of the Rabbanim, Mishum Dixi Blasis, the time of the Rebbe, Mishum Dixi Pishnai, Virayla, Dover, etc. He goes on and on and on. He brings a Yesh, Litchais, whatever it be, he brings a Yesh before Shimon. The Maisit Shitas are I haven't checked the different side to look it up. Okay, but this is what seems to be written over here. A yesh portion that Enochanami learns that way. Learned that this sugya daf kuf chav daled and the sugya daf kuf chav daled amid aleph and the sugya kuf chav daled amid beis are arguing. What is the reasons of Rabbi and Rabbana? In kuf chav daled amid aleph, it's a question of losses or not losses. Davar shloi b'laylam. And here there's another criteria: yimatzei or not yimatzei. Now we have to ask a simple question. With greatest respect, that means to say something very awkward. Because the Gemara takes for granted that the Brisa said that Muchkers and Muskers B'yad Acherim, according to Rebbe, works. Okay, it works. Okay, well, we know Rebbe doesn't think there's a din of Dola Shabbalayla. Granted. But what is the Agdara of, let's try to understand what's happening there. So what's happening? According to Rebbe, what are we going to say? We say there's no problem. There's no din of davar shloi b'layla. So every shvach would work. What about a regular roy? What about a regular roy? So it's very clear. The Rashbam himself says a regular roy, we know it doesn't work from the pasuk of Yimatzeh. That's the first in the Rashbam, as we learned before. A regular roy. If you say the criteria is only of davar shloi b'layla, what do you do with roy b'alma? The Rashbam says, "Mefush devamascha machelik pashut umi roy gomek ganchish bich yisayim lo shakel pishnayim There is such a drasha. So I don't understand. Where's the Makkah of the Rashbam that there's such a din of Yematzolai? The Teretz says it's this Reish in the Amid base. That's the stomach of the Milsa. That's the din of Yematzolai. We learned it from here. So I want to understand what's in the Kudus, what's the relationship according to the Rashbam between this Brisa and that Brisa. It's more than that. In Daf Kuf Chadal base, we see Rebbe agrees with the din of Yematzei. He's only memayit shvach shayidei yisayim. Mashaki, and according to Rabbanon, they're memayit kol shvach. So it's clearly a din of Yematzei. How do we understand this Gemara in Kuf Chadal Amid Aleph? More than that, the question has to be, what is the criteria of we say that there's a halacha that par muchkerish you're going to get the sachar? Over there, we know first that the Rashbam says that although if the assignment would have to work also or even contribute mezainis, that would not be called shvach de mamela. Now, what's the getter in this halacha? So I think it's very simple. It's very clear. It's not the halacha that you have to be able to buy to sell the thing that you're being mirish. What happens if the mirish is a katan which can't sell? Or is it Eina Bar Das and he can't sell? So there's no din of matana for a pchar. I mean, no one's that stupid, right? No one thinks that if he's not Bar Kinyan, he's a cotton, he's a shaita, he's a ma'abed mashanaisen, he's a lumber based on first. There's no din of, he can't be nourished to a pchar pishnayim. That does not affair to sagen as asfor. No one's dreaming that. What's the getter? This is all criteria in the Bailus. What kind of ownership do you have that you can be Meirish? If you have a Bailus Shlema, which as far as your ownership is concerned, it is sellable, that means you have a Kinyan Gomer in the Chaypetz, that's the kind of Kinyan, it's called Yematzolai. And if you don't have a Kinyan Gomer in the Chaypetz, you have an ownership, but the ownership alone is not the type which will allow you to sell. Why? Because you have an ownership in the Siba, which is Dekalaperis. You have a multitude of ownerships. You don't have to make a new Kinyan when it happens, but you don't have the Chaypetz now, so it's not a Kinyan Gomer in the Chaypetz, which I mean is in the Chaymer and in the Tzura, in the matter and into the form. Let's remember that. Okay? I don't have a Chaypetz matter in the form. This is not what I have at the moment. That's not called Yematzolai. That's all. That's the Agdor Sadvar. Nothing more than that. The criteria is not what's called matsui etzlacha. So if that's the case, the chiddush of Rabbanan is that the din matsui etzlacha is defined also by the quality of bailus of yachal limkor. Also, and that's what Rebbe argues. Rebbe says that's not a criteria. I agree. There's a din of roy that you have to have a sign of bailus, but it's not totally in Yachal Limker and not Yachal Limker. That's not the criteria. That's not the criteria. What is called Matzui? So he starts explaining. Well, first understand Rabbanan. Rabbanan say very simple. For example, Shlupfa V'Nasir Tamra by Dikla V'Alim, for example, what getter is that? Dikla V'Alim, we're going to say, excuse me, Arv Asik Shilton, Kulam Le Pliga the Shakim. Ki Pliga B'Chfur V'Avashuvla, Shlupfa V'Avatamra, the criteria of Ein Shmai Alav is not a criteria in Davar Shalei Bala. That's not the issue. The Teretz says it's a criterion Matsui. Matsui means Aleph, the same Chayfetz, the same form, and the same matter. That's number one. Okay, we agree, so to speak, that if it develops, so it's basically the same form, just a developed form. That's called Shmayalok. That is called Matsui. Now there's another criteria as far as the bailus is concerned. If it is something which you can't sell because of a lacking in bailus, that's also not called Matsui. So it's not a get of matana per se. The Makana Kai Rachmana is only one of the Hagdoros of how to define Matsui. And that's why when Rebbe argues, what's Rebbe saying? With greatest respect, there are Hagdoros of Matsui. It doesn't include that. Davar Shalom does not include Matsui. Therefore, he thinks in Svarach Hitzayin, if you wouldn't introduce the logic of Davar Shalom, Shvachet B'Mela would be perceived as a natural development of the object. This is that. It just grew a bit. Ubekai Gavna, that's a Davar Pashut, that Ein Achinami, that's the same object. That's called Matsui B'Yadu. That's a svara pshuta. That's a svara pshuta. He thinks that shvach d'mela is called the same. Soon I'll show you the parallels where this is coming from. Now he takes it further. What's the pshat? Here it's interesting. Practically speaking, what has he done? The father, by cutting this deal of Chakira, has made this ox, or this cow rather, into a making machine. He's transformed it into he opened up a rent-a-car business. Okay, Mukhkeres means to say that I rent out my tractors, and it's a business now which gets me partnership in whoever reaps. So now the cow has become a tractor, which is a business. It's a rent-a-car business. That's what it is. That's what you've rented it. Basically, he would be being a partner in a business. That's all this really is. Okay, now since he's already not just a cow, but the cow is transformed into a money-making business, so that's called matsui. Person which has a running business, so the natural profits are perceived matsui. Interesting. Why? Since you own the business, and the business is constantly making money, that's called you have the business. Okay, you have the business makes money. Now those are svaros only in the world of matsui. There's nothing to do with bailus in the proper sense. You have the reason, the ongoing reason what's going to happen. Someone else is going to have to work. What happens if that guy doesn't find people to work for, or he just gets sick and doesn't work? There's a corona, and all of a sudden he can't work. The criteria is, as long as far as you're concerned, what you set up, you did everything. The rest we don't care about. You know, there are people, when they invest in the stock market, they check out what's the company doing now, today, and tomorrow. Those are good investors. They make a lot of money, okay? They live, not just, but most schmendricks like myself, okay? You know what? Yeah, you buy. Yeah, I want to learn a taisvis. I bought it. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain. God's nice to you, you're lucky. God's nice to you, you get your nose shaved off. But at the end, I finished. I have a portfolio. I did it. Not as far as I'm concerned, this piece of paper is a money-making machine. Well, if I did it in a nice little standard pour, which I don't have to think about too much, you know, I'm going to do okay. You know, I'm not going to make big things. I'm not going to lose things. Okay? That's me. The lazy guy that wants to learn, doesn't want to do with Marvin David. So for either so much has to be done. You bought a stock, so what? You know how much people have to work for that stock to make money? Are you kidding? No, me interessiert. I finished. That's the Agdori here. That's called Matsui. As far as he's concerned, he's finished. Your children, you so to speak, someone else still has to work. It's a company. Someone has to rent the car, man. And someone has to drive with it because you're getting profit only according to how much he makes. That I don't care about. It's the Agdor of Matsui. So your Matsui doesn't mean Matsui in the sense of violence. I mean Matsui, it's almost like he perceives it. I did everything I can to make the money. Therefore, he said that if, so to speak, you have to contribute. For example, if the assignment would have to also plow, or they would have to contribute food. In other words, it's not enough for them that they set up the machine, now someone else has to work with it. No, you still have to run the machine yourself. That means it hasn't finished yet. If it hasn't finished yet, you didn't define this as a money-making machine. You defined it as something that if you do other things with it, it'll make money. And that's the criteria. That's the idea. These are all svaros in Rigasha's Daka, so what's called Matsui B'Yodcha. That's all. This is clearly svaros of Das Chachamim, what's called Matsui B'Yodcha. And Rebbe thinks it's called Matsui B'Yodcha. Clearly. And what did Rabbanan say? Rabbanan clearly say this doesn't work. What does the Gemara say? Because it's not Matzah b'yodcha, daf kuf kadal dam and base. Why isn't it Matzah b'yodcha? They're not arguing with the principle of Rebbe. They say, hey, you get a good svar. The problem is there's an added principle called ad the matzah liyoda. You have to have if something which is davar shloi b'laylam is not called matzah. In other words, they agree to the svara in principle of Rebbe of creating a money machine. Although it needs other people to work, would be called matzah. If not for an added criteria that they have that Rebbe doesn't have. And what's that added criteria? For something to be matzah, it has to be a davar shel yochel lahaknos. It's called a davar shebal la'olam. That's the relationship between these two brises, and that's the pshat l'chayra in the Rashbam. I'm doing this because of this Rabbeinu Yoina. This Rabbeinu Yoina made a machlokes. It's mefurish Rashbam that that's not the truth. He learned to the contrary of Papa. Your Papa doesn't hold from the losses. It's a mefurish Rashbam. Avkuf Chav Hey Ahmed Beis Dibra Maschel Amar Papa Hilchos Eina Baal Neitel Beroi. That's at the bottom of the page where he writes Mefurish in Das Rav Papa. He says in Fushing Rav Papa, he says. The heat of Pliger Rabbanim B'Bchor the Hasam Hainu time it lost his name Maton the Kaya Rachmana, and he's talking about Rav Papa. If you see the Gemara there, so it's the first Rashbam doesn't think the Rav Papa is arguing with the Lotzis Kaya Rachmana. I L'Chaya, if we're dealing with concept of Davish Balaim Malay Balaim, this is missing. That's good for the Shaila that Rabbeinu Yoina says, L'Chari, that doesn't work. The answer is it's not a shot that you have to be able to sell it. That's one of the Hagdoros of Matsui. But the crowd is if Shmai Olav and your Mukzik in it, that's enough. It's also called Matsui. If it's a Shvach, a development, that not. But the Chayfetz itself, which develops, and Shmai Olav, that's who you have it beyond. I L'Chari, that added piece you can't sell independently. What's the difference? That's one Chayfetz. This is what it seems to be. They seem to be arguing between. This seems to be the shaila. Only by Shlupfa Vanasa Tamra there's a shaila with Shmai Olav or not. Right. So this is that's because of this Rashbam Kuf Chav Hamid Beis, which clearly argues Rabbeinu Yoina here in Divrei Amar Papa. That puts clear nails into this idea that the Brisa in Daf Kuf Chav Daled Amid Aleph is explaining the criteria for Yimatzeh, which is found in Kuf Chav Daled Amid Beis. And it's really mamish true, because if you open the Tosefta writes Mefurish, as you saw the Tosefta in Perek Zayin, the Chacham argued because of the pasuk Yimatzeh. They write Mefurish, because it says Yimatzeh, that's not called Yimatzeh. It's Mefurish and Tosefta, that drasha that we found here, which he quotes basically a Sifri. It's a Sifri, in Daf Kuf Dal Damar Beis, that's a Sifri, and the Tosefta quotes the same thing. So we have a Tosefta into Sifri versus this Brisa of Kuf Chav Daled Amid Aleph, and that's how they understand it. They all merge together into one. This is the Hagdar of the thing. Okay, that's granted. Number one. Okay, now the pshat is what the Rashbam did not learn like the other shitos, and I'd like to explain what those other shitos are to understand what exactly does it mean. When it says when they learn a pshat that ad l'matal yadi ad l'matal is chus b'chor. So what exactly is the shita of Kairos? So I'm going to again review fast. We know that a few Rashbams. Let's read a few of them. Number one, Rashbam in Daf Kuf Chav Vav Amid Aleph. The Gemara says Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Asi B'chor Shemicha Micha. Rashbam writes Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Asi Afagav Diukimna L'Divrei Hakol. The Eina B'chor Notel B'Shnayim B'Shvach Shishbichu Yosayim L'Achem Mises Aviyim. Everyone agrees that Shvach Shishbichu Yosayim equals Shvach Eidei Yitzia. You don't get B'Shnayim. Miu Imicha V'Amar Al Tashbichu Chelki. Don't do it yet. Elanachlik Biyad. Vashbiach ani shnei chalakim sheli ve'etel kol shvacham ve'em nisya ashum elachlok. They didn't think about chalukah v'ishbicha and chasim ari micha ben v'yitol pishnayim. Why the hapaskina lekamon yesh lo lebchor pishnayim kodim chalukah mishah shechofetz lizkat b'pchirasai. By chofetz litlay chelkei la'alter v'zayche b'chelik b'chirasai miyad. I want to understand what this means. The man writes as follows. There's a machlekes further in the Gemara, as I mentioned. What happens if a bchor takes one piece and not two? So a machlekes Rav Papi and Rav Papa, that means that he was mavater on the chelik bchira in this specific field, or that constitute a viter on the chelik bchira in all the fields. That's the Gemara at the literally halfway down in Kuf Chavav Amid Aleph. Chor shenato chelik pashat vita. My vita Rav Papa mishmei de Rava Amar vita by Sesada. Rav Papi mishmei de Rava Amar vita b'chal nechasim. Rav Papa mishmei de Rava Amar vita by Sesada kasava ein lo lebchor kodim chaluka. Rav Papi mishmei de Rava Amar vita b'chal nechasim kulam kasava yesh lebchor kodim chaluka. Umede ochil b'ha ochil b'kula. So now, there's two things we have to know. The language of mid'achil could be a figure of speech. It doesn't really mean mechila. It means vitur, or giving up, or siluk, other possibilities. But the Rashbam is very explicit He writes before it should say din a regular classical din of mechila. Once he translated it literally and uses the concepts of mechila and not nesina, he's writing it clear as day. Loi motzi machel, etc. So what do you get of the mechila? Mechila, as we know, is never found on something that you own. It's only on something that you have a schus moment, a tvia, a shibud, that you can be meichel. Let's check your meichel the shibud, your meichel the tvia. Because a shibud is nothing more than a schus moment to realize a tvia. Once you don't have a tvia, the shibud is meaningless. The klal is your meichel a tvia. I have a claim, I waive my claim. That's what mechila means. I'm waiving my claim. There's no such thing as a shibud mammon. A shibud is for fulfilling a tvia. I have a claim for monetary rights. I have a right to claim it. I waive that right. Thus, I have no more rights to claim it. Equals it's mammon she'en lem toivim. It's nothing. It's yours. A chayv without a teveh is not a chayv. It's very simple. You don't. It's pashik kipshuta. It's not just. You don't have to make a kinyan for that because the nechasim are yours. The only thing is a shibud. A shibud is only for the gvia of a teveh. If there's no teveh, it went kaput. There is no shibud. Goodbye, Charlie. That's a davar pashik. You don't have to make a kinyan. You don't. Mechila doesn't have to be like a matana. Mechila is very simply waiving a claim, and I just want to that's form shutim. That's not where there's a machlokes. Okay, so if that's the case, what are we talking here? The mefurish that basically the bchor, if you hold yeshlo the bchor kodim chaluka, it doesn't mean that he owns it. It means he has a claim. It means he has a claim. Now, what does it mean? It means he has a claim. And what happens before that? What does he have exactly? Let's try to understand what he has and what he doesn't have. Well, to understand that, we have to take one more thing into account, and that is Dasa Rashbam, as we have learned it, that by the Pashut really does not have anything private at all. The Pashut, basically, when the father leaves the world, basically his estate goes into what we call estate form, like a corporation. And they have no rights, private rights in it. All they have is they're called Yorshim, which is the name of the people which are attributed to control that estate. What they do is they have rights in the estate for private ownership when they break the estate. For example, they don't have to make a new kinyan on what they do immediately. As soon as the estate is broken into pieces, and that is finalized, each one owns this piece. You don't have to make a specific kinyan about that. You can make a kinyan garua. We learned that in Daf Gimel Amid Aleph, so I have no reason to elaborate on that. So that's what we learned in the Gemara of Kana B'Adam Baruch, if you recall. I think you do. I think there was a bechina on that. I think so. I'm not sure. Don't remember anyway. So that's a davar pasha. Okay, that we know that the estate, the tfusa, and we basically found the source of this Gemara in B'cheres and Vav and Gemara in Chulun Chafei. Rashi calls it. It's the father still owns it in proxy by them. It's not theirs. It's the father's. He vicariously through them. Okay, but basically it's nichsei ha'av. That's the agdor. So here the question is, it's very pashut that what they have is they are yorshim in a tfusa, and so to speak, and they have rights as yorshim to break the tfusa, to divide it. Equals once it's divided, they have broken the corporate ownership, and now it's divided into separate pieces because a corporation doesn't have pieces to it; it's one. Once you fragmented it, you already made it into yours and mine. That's the opposite of corporation. So basically what you do is by being mechalik the tfusa, you've now destroyed the corporate ownership, and now there's an automatically private ownership, which the seed of that lies yet in the beginning. This is a very famous Reb Chaim in Hilchos Shchenim Meshutfim, where the Reb Chaim discusses that this is the shaila of yesh breira or ein breira. Famous machlokes or achim shechalku, yesh breira or ein breira. Do we say that when you have the chalukah, that's what you always have? And therefore, you don't have to give it back in Yovel. Mashenk, if you hold Ein Breira, we say, hey, when you got it, we don't know what you got now, where that's what it was always destined to be yours. And therefore, you actually switch pieces between each other. It's like Mechira, and then it has to change in Yovel. Reb Chaim says that can't mean, that read would be simplistic. Why? Because the Rambam says that although they change their portions in Yovel, but the Chalukah stays the way it is. For goodness sakes, if the whole chalukah is a way of me buying your piece and you're buying my piece, as soon as it's broken, make a different type of chalukah. Don't cut it horizontally, cut it vertically. Cut it in circles. What's the difference? How do you know how to make chalukah? If the whole chalukah is nothing more than the mekach umemker, this is my piece, this is your piece, and I'm buying one for the other, and that's what chalukah is. So if it's batel b'yovel, the whole mekach is batel, even the division is batel. Before we cut it, so to speak, in the length, now cut it in the width. And the answer is that's not true, because the chalukah is not mekach umemker. The chalukah is breaking the company. That's not an act of mekach. That's breaking the company. Once you broke the company, now you own it. You own X. Now what's Breira? We know when the father dies, he basically wants to give his children the money that he wants. The Torah wants them to have money. They want to have private ownership. But it first goes into limbo state, into what you call a tfusa, into a corporate reality. In that corporate reality, everybody is a shareholder, has total control of everything, so to speak. It is only, but they also have rights in that company now for private ownership of half of their half after it's broken. They now have the reason of private ownership post destruction or dispersion of the corporate entity. So when the father dies, two things are happening. There's an immediate corporate ownership, and there is the reason for private ownership post chalukah. And that's the question. Do we say yesh breira and we say, well then, now we know that after chalukah, this is what you're supposed to get? Or the other one says, no, after chalukah, we don't know that this is the one you're supposed to get. But no one thinks that everyone thinks that they got whatever was meant b'shas misa. B'shas misa, no one had. It was only the tfusa. That's what Chaim says. And therefore, when you're mechalik it, that doesn't change in yovel. Nothing to do with it. The whole question of yesh breira and breira is, when we know that you were supposed to get private ownership post chalukah, the one you finally got, is that the one you were meant to get? Or is the one you don't know, and therefore you switched with your friend? That's a machlekes. The machlekes are only as far as the private ownership, it kicks in post chalukah, but no, there is no such thing as private ownership pre chalukah. That's a very famous Reb Chaim. We discussed it in Daf Gimel Amid Aleph. We based it on a Tosfos in Bava Metzia Daf Beis, which I mentioned. This is the tfusa. Now, he believes the Rashbam's shita is that it's actually a das yachid, but we're learning Rashbam at the moment, that's the din of every pashut. En lo lepashut kaidim chalukah. Therefore, a pashut cannot sell his or be meicher or anything prior to chalukah. He has nothing. He has no monetary rights as an adam prati. He's only a yorish, equals he has a shareholder in a corporation, but he can't sell. He's not a controlling member. The only control he has that he can devote for dispersion or for or taking it apart. That's all he can do. Except for that, he has no rights privately of private ownership at the moment. This is basically the pashut according to the Rashbam. We explained that this is Mefurshim Marach or Zerua, Das Marach or Zerua in Siman Kuf Chof. We know that his father, the Maria or Zerua, argues. And also the Rashba argues, the Ran brings the Rashba here, which argues, and they equate Yorshim to Shutfim, and in Shutfim, it's definitely not that way, as we explained. This is a machlekes Rishonim. Rashbam versus Rashba, definitely. It's also a machlekes between Mari or Zerua and Marach or Yitzchak or Zerua, or his son Chaim or Zerua. That's a machlekes Rishonim. Okay, so this is the Shita Rashba. Now, what about the Bchor? Here it gets interesting. If you hold Ein lo lebchor kodim chalukah, so what have you actually told him? You've said that basically he has nothing. The Bchor is basically, it's all found in the Tfusa. There's nothing at all. There's no private ownership at all. It's all found in the Tfusa. And you know what you have? You have a right to get your piece from the Tfusa. Very nice. If you hold Ein lo lebchor kodim chalukah, definitely you have nothing until the Tfusa. Masha'enkin, if you hold Yesh lo lebchor kodim chalukah, here it gets interesting. It cannot mean that you own something prior to chalukah. Because if you owned it, you can't be meichel it. So what does it mean? It means to say that before chalukah, you have a schus tviyah to realize your schus mum. You have a shibud on tviyah on the chalukah, on the tfusa, to give you that which is yours. Now, what does this mean? How does this work? To understand this, one has to go to the Gemara In Daf Kuf Chav Zayin Amid Aleph, if you have a Gemara in front of you, that would be very helpful. And the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says in Kuf Chav Zayin Amid Aleph, in the third line, Tanya Kavasadir of third widen out line. Tanya Kavasadir of Ami, Ben V'loy Tumtum. Was meint das? Ben V'loy Tumtum. Basically, if the pshat is b'shas Misa, this was a Tumtum, so we don't know whether he was a Zachar or a Nekeva. And afterwards, we found out that he was a Zachar because Nikra, it opened up and we found out what his Simanim are. Okay, no good. He's not a B'chor anymore. He has to be B'chor B'zman. That's the Rashbam on the spot. Ben V'loy Tumtum. Let me find it here. V'loy Tumtum. V'afa pi shenikra acher came v'nimtza Zachar. Tumtum shenikra afa v'nimtza Zachar ein another pi shnayim. Good. B'choyer V'loy Safek. Now, what the case of B'chor V'loy Safek, that is Safek B'chor does not get pi shnayim. Pi shnayim of Ben V'loy Tumtum Kideravami. That's the story I just told you of Noila Tumtum, which means his simanim were covered, so we don't know whether Zachar and Nekeva, and then Nikra, whatever that tissue tore open, and we realized it was a Zachar, since he was not a Zachar b'shas Misa, he's not a B'chor. What's the story of V'lei Safek? El B'chor V'lei Safek lafuke mai. What does this come to exclude? My lafuke mai lafuke mididorish Rava. The Dorish Rava. Shtei Nashim. They were hiding from soldiers, whatever it be. That's his typical case of by the Sheni. Shvuya is hiding from Machboy. We have this as far as Shvuya is concerned, that if we know that she wasn't a Machboy, she doesn't have an Shvuya. This is the Gemara in Ksubis. She shielded by Machboy. So now we don't know. And what happened? We don't know who is the who is Ubeis Choyim by Machboy. Kaisma Shua Zelazet. Dr. Rashbam. Shtei noshim shel adam echad b'machbay ve'en yadua ezer kadam liyos reishis oinai. Bad usage of word is a nice way of saying b'chor. Okay. Kaisna ashah zel lazeh ve'oser chad minayir v'tova chayli b'chor min ha'achid. Im b'chor ani tnu li b'shvil atzmi v'im lav tnu li b'shvil achi sharei nosan li chelkoi upaskinan la'el. So he basically says, so it should work, and we say it doesn't work. The Medina is like, why? Because we get to within our shore. Amar popular Rav of Ashach Rav and Davar Zer Sha'alti Charabaisel Amar Davar Bram Kach Amar Mishur Biani Hukru B'Soif Nisarvu. If they were known as B'chayris, we know who it was, and then it got mixed up. Kaishin Ashaz Elazeh Loi Hukru. If they were never known, it was always a suffix. Then the din is that a suffix ain't Kaishin Ashaz Elazeh. This is brought down in Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says that if they don't, if they were basically Hukru for Nisarvu. We know there's a B'chor, which you don't know which one it is. Now, no one is sure. So then the way they can claim it is with our show. And it's brought down the Shulchan Aruch. And without our show, what's the din? The classical din without our show means a yipui koyach. It means say, listen, I now control both halves. That's what our show is. When you give our show with the shliach, you have to be makna to the shliach, a zechus in what he's about to collect. That's a gemara. If those who lynch shvuas ha'edus should remember that. It's also a big sugi here in Bava Basra. That's the din of Nardo. It's a loch of our shah. Okay, so here also, so what's the problem? He's collecting for the B'chor. Either it's him or it's the other guy. And afterwards, they'll figure out what to do with it. L'chayr it's a pella. And what's the din if you don't have our shah? So the assignment will tell him, Lav bald worm de diat. We don't know you. That's the getter that you have to have our shah. L'chayr it's a pella. They're not the Bali din. The Bali din is, this is definitely doesn't belong to them. Hashor is shy. If you want to be toiveh from me, my money, I'm going to tell you, I only have to deal with the person that I know I owe the money to. But this poor is not taking from their money. He's taking from the tfusa. It's definitely not theirs. So they should say, oh, listen, there's a piece of which is not ours. I don't know who it is. You guys break your back between it. Let it be a munach, let it be yachlaiku. We'll figure out in Hilchos Feikus what the din is, but definitely they should take it, you should separate it. Is that their money? Why do you need our shah for this? For goodness sakes, they shouldn't. They're definitely not the balei din. The din of our shah is to be afuk elav bal dvarim didiyat. I don't have to give you my money. You're not my bal din, but you're not the. For goodness sakes, they're not the balei din. There's money there of the bchor. It's not yours. So you take your money. The chelik bchor is definitely not yours. Who's it going to give it to? Let the two guys go to Bezdin and break their backs. I don't know whether it'll be a munach, yachlaiku, kol dalam gafar. We'll figure it out according to Hilchos Feikus. This is a question that the Nesivus asks. Nesivus and Reisha and Ches, Sifkot and Tes. And the Nesivus comes from here at Yisod Gadol. So the Nesivus, because she'echa yoshim motzi matche ha chelik zeh bevade eina shel yoshim. Ve'eina safik rak ben shnei eila bechelik zeh. V'hoya le'lifsik beinayim o yachleiku o yemunach. U'ma sheiches ha'yoshim bechelik zeh. So why do we need our shore? Guys, it's not yours. Put it aside. Let them break it back with it. What's this got to do with our shore? There's no time of love about Ram Didiyat. Our shore shaykh say, I'm not chayiv to you, but we're not talking about your chayiv or you're not chayiv. Ela vade zot the nesiv from here, it's muchach. Zot the nesivis. The who kichiyuv sheitila rachmana ala yorship. No, it is a chiyuv on the yorship. Lotus like. Behaving a yorshim ketoinim eni yodeim nischayavti lecha. Umshumachim matzu matche zeh zeh. The Siva says al kochitz. No, it's a chiyuv on the yorshim. What does that mean? In simple English, it means to say that basically the tfusa, whether the tfusa is like the Rashbam or not like the Rashbam, those who contain and have the rights on the tfusa are the pshutim. There's a chiyuv on the balei hatfusa, whether it is al yorshim or al pratim. I couldn't care less at the moment. Koydem chalukah or after chutz, a chiyuv on karkafa de gavra. There's no difference in the chiyuv prior to chalukah or post chalukah. So it doesn't matter whether now we're talking about private ownership or we're talking about the ownership of the tfusa. These people, which in the beginning are yorshim and afterwards become bailim pratim, they have a chiyuv to give from their chelek a pi shnayim. They, as a group, okay, I obviously divided. I can give a part from mine, you give a part from yours. We can decide how to do it, but we all have a private chiyuv to take from our nechasim or those nechasim to give him pi shnayim. We are chayiv. It's a nice way of saying that we say b'chor matana kai rachmana. It means as follows: when the father dies, all the estate goes into what we call a tfusa in a corporate form. With that death, the father also gives a private monetary right to own private ownership immediately now to the b'chor. And he has it now. But what does he have? Does he own something now? He owns a monetary right. He owns a shibud. He doesn't own an object because then mechila wouldn't work after tviya, as we said before, chalukah. And the Gemara and the Rashbam right before there's a mechila. But what he does have is a schus mammon, which is a balchayv, which is teveah. And the tfusa is meshubed. The tfusa and the balei tfusa are meshubed. This is dafka a shibud, obviously nechasim, not a guf. They have to give him from the tfusa. There's no din of yachla salka bezuzah. The pshat is that the balei tfusa have to give him from the tfusa a chelik. But part of the chelik, which is the tfusas, and they are the shotim on the tfusa. It's not as if that he and them are all in one bottle or all in one barrel, and he gets two pieces and they get only one each. No. It's a separate private schus mammon. In this, he's not a yoresh. He has his own schus mammon. Yesh lebchor kodim chaluka mitzvah. My father, when he died with his death, bequeathed me, gave me a matana of a private schus mammon. So my brothers do not have a private schus mammon. I have a schus mammon. So it boils down is that in the tfusa there's a shibud mammon, a private shibud mammon of the chelik of b'chayra. That's what this is, okay? So Mamelu, that's the very thing halacha, and that's called yeshul lebchor kodim chaluka, and it is that shibud that they now owe, and they have to make sure they give it to him. And that's why we said this halacha and the karkaka, the gavra. These guys, how was he mezakeh the father? He was mezakeh him, that's this woman, through the Yarshim. Through the Yarshim. Now, if that's the case, now they since they did it for him, they are the people that made it for him, they also mechuyev to make sure he gets it. The Lush of the Ran was what? The father gave it basically to the Tfusa, that the Tfusa should give that chelik to the Bchor. What did he give to the Tfusa? Within the Tfusa lies a schus mammon prati of that matana. So he gave, the father was Meirish a matanas, matas mammon prati to the Bchor, derech hatfusa. I'm just putting together what the pshat that means. Mizakin lay, as the Ran says, mizakin lay de acher. Who is the acher? The acher is those pshutim, as the Nesifis explains very beautifully in Reish Ayin Chestes, based on the Gemara Kuf Chav Zayin Amid Aleph. It's a Sifri Shulchan Aruch and Reish Ayin Zayin. If you want to know in the Ramah, this halacha, this is what down the Fursh in Shulchan Aruch Gimel. Here we are. Here Reish Ayin Zayin Yud Aleph. Look up the Sifri Shulchan Aruch and look up the Ramah there. Okay, so this is the pshat, this is the getter of the Bchor. This is what he has. Now comes an interesting halacha. So normally when I read the Gemara Daf Kuf Chavav, this is what happens. Prior to, what does at least happen here? The father gave this monetary right, this private ownership, through the Tfusa to him. So now it's in the Tfusa, and the Tfusa has to give it to him. The Tfusa is an inanimate object, means the Baliyat Tfusa equals the Yorshim, or if it's divided, the owners of the private ownership, which was once Tfusa. It's in that Nechasim. In a nice way of putting, he has a chelik, b'toich shelahem. If you remember the Lashon of the Tosefta, sheloi ishbiach b'shelahem, as the Kisvei Yad says, it is b'shelahem, literally. That Tosefta with the Kisvei Yad now becomes very, 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 very accurate. Okay? Now we have an interesting concept here. The Rashbam says that in that case, what happens to the Bchor Shemicha, then there is no machlekes of Rebbe and Rabbanan. So the Rashbam again in Omer Rav Huna Rav Kuf Chavav Amid Aleph Omer Rav Ashi Afa Gavdu Kim LeDivrei Akol De'ein Bchor Noitel Pishnaim B'Shvach Shibich Yisem Achem Yisaviyem. It's called Roi Gomer, and therefore the deceased is not Meirishit to the Bechor. Miu imicha v'amar tashbichu chelkei al-nachlik miyad v'ashbiach ani shnei chalakim sheli ve'etel kol shvachan v'heim nisyashim alachlek v'ishbichu ha'nechasim ha'imicha b'hem v'yitel pishnai. L'chayra, the father is not Meirish pishnayim in the shvach. The ha paskin lekaman yesh l'pishnayim koinu chaluka, which means what? He has a shibud. He doesn't have a God ownership. It's only a shibud. Misha she chayfetz discuss b'bchirasei by chayfetz little chelke la'alta v'zoiche b'chelke what? A shibud miyad kol makom she'u ilkach nechechsim didei ashbach. It's called his nechasim where mashbach. Dosh tet l'chayra that oyit mishlim, if you mamish own the chelik, it's for my son. It was mashbich. It's mine. He's saying a tremendous chiddush that after tviyah, although it's only a shibud, we don't have to get now the shvach within Yerusha. You get the shvach because his karka was mishbach. What do you mean your karka? It's only a shibud of karka. Now, what the halacha by shibudim? The shibudim, what happens with a Baal Chayv if there's a shibud? Does the Baal Chayv get the shvach? So, not you know.
How does Rebbe know? How does Rebbe know that after the mechor of the bechor, he doesn't own that?
Because you can be meichel.
He can be mocha before he makes a mechor.
No, you don't have to read. It's the Gemara.
The Gemara says you can either make a mechor or he can be.
Not true. Read the Gemara. Read
I read the
Rashbam.
Gemara.
Well, you haven't read it well.
It says either you make a machar or you can be mavata. You can't be mavata after you made a machar.
Who connects the two together?
The Rashbam, the Fush.
You know what you want. There's no way to connect those two ideas together.
It says.
You can. It's very simple. You can.
It says in Deba Maschal Yesh B'char Keren Chalaka. Kadom Ala El B'char Shemicha Micha VeHilkach Yeshkach B'Yod Elimcha. Because he couldn't make a machar, he can be meichel. You can't be meichel after you made a machar; it's already yours. It doesn't become a shibud after machar.
You're making a kimti. You know what you're saying? You're telling me a story that the Shaila of Viter is talking that was a machar before. I do not know that to be true.
No. You can at the first stage before he makes a machar, you can either be machar, you can be mavata. You can't make a machar and then be mavata, because once you make a machar, it becomes yours legamri.
I don't know that to be true. I don't think it's muchach, and I'll explain why. I don't see it before in the Rashbam. I understand what you're saying. If I would add if I was in a hard place, I would end up saying that. I have no reason to say that. And the answer is very simple. Why Me'ikar Adin is the L'mashal Shvach of by Baal Choiv. Let me just put it the way it is. It's late, so I don't want to go into it. Well, you didn't learn. I'm sure no one checked up the Sugya and Kufnun Zayin. But if you would have seen the Reb Chaim Hilchos Malva Perek Chof Aleph Halacha Aleph, which I sent you 2 weeks ago, on page 105, basically the second paragraph, the Ramasal Hine Kasha, I really suggest you read it. It boils down to a very simple thing. Any normal shibud, you don't own the karka. You own the karka for collection. You don't own the karka for yourself, it's karka for the ma'os. Therefore, if the karka develops in the shvach, that's not the shvach of your karka. The Chaim is very sweet, it's a mefurish Ramah. The Ramah writes it mefurish, that's what I sent you to look up a Ramah and Daf Kufnun Zayin. Daf Kufnun Zayin. 1 minute. Daf Kufnun Zayin, Ois Kuf Samachay, he writes it mefurish, where he writes that by a Baal Chayv, there's no such thing as regular shvach, because he says like this. He says the gabel can the kani gufadar the gamra mehashka. Then we say there's a concept of shvach. Avagala Baal Chayv the shibuda be'almahi umatzi lisluke bezuze. Loi alim shibudi de gufa da ara li shibudi Baal Chayv shvacha da asa ba basa hati ve'ever davar shloi ba'ala oilam. That's the lashon the Rashba. So we clearly see that he believes that eina chenami by shvacha de memela specifically, if hypothetically eina yochel esalke bezuzah. For example, if this was an apoitika mefirish, it was it's not just karka limaos, it's karka la'atzmai. Then it's a davar pasha that you would take shvach, that's called a roy ashbach. There's no question about it. And then the Allah would be ben that's bain ayedei yitzia or bain b'shvach. It's mine. Maximum now it's mine. I'm saying it's only a shibud, right? It's a shibud on the gufa karka, although you don't own it yet. But what you own is in the gufa karka. The shibud alone would also be enough of an ownership for shvach. The only problem is yochel esalkei bezuzah, since I can pay you otherwise. It's only the karka is only a chetimtza for moment. But if there's no yochel esalkei bezuzah, the karka is for makkah v'yosei itself. That's the davar pashat that the sada belongs to you, and that's why it's yours. So that would be easier, Dovi, than having to say what you said. It's simpler. The question doesn't begin. Okay, that's what I think is the emes. The emes is often if it be a shibud, it doesn't matter. What it boils down to be comes out l'chayre a thing like this. That ain't a chinam. What happens is that what happens prior to the tviya, what happens post the tviya. So the Ran elaborates, says this very clearly over there in Kuf Chavav. Tamtzis dvarer as follows: that basically, as I said before, the father, with his death, creates a tfusa and he was makna a schus mammon. The equivalent is as if he already was makna it to the child, to the b'chor al yedei atfusa. There's only one thing: until he accepts that kinyan, he doesn't have it. He quotes the Gemara later, also Gemara, but also by Nichse Achmed and Midbar. There are things that I made Bazaki you something, but you're not going to have it if you say you don't want it. So here the klal is, until he's Tevei, I don't know it. Okay, and therefore it's mitli toli v'koi. In the tfusa lies a schus mamay, prati. Elamai, it's not his until he says he wants it. Should he not say he wants it, that's schus mamay prati, becomes nothing, and therefore it's part of the tfusa. Because it's not mammon shalai, it's schus mammon shalai. And it's only a shibud, therefore once it's only a shibud, if he's mevater, he's meichel, memele, because it belongs to the tfusa. If I pretend he had a private thing and then he decided he doesn't want it, that wouldn't work. Because how does it become part of the tfusa? The answer isn't the tfusa, it's a shibud in the tfusa, because you're teveya from the tfusa. I have a shibud of my mom and prati in the tfusa. But when does it become mine? When I decide I want it, which equals when I'm teveya, when I'm meicher. Without me being megala das that I want it, I'm not going to have it. So what this is a schus mammon, which can become yours. Should you decide not to want it, it automatically transforms to be part of the tfusa. It's a shibud without a teveya, it becomes nothing. That's what it boils down to be. So it is in the tfusa. It's in the tfusa. It's in the tfusa, but that's what it is. So what happens is that before the tfiya, it is now. What is it? It's a schus mammon in the tfusa waiting for you to accept it. The father was maknid already. The maisak knoa, so to speak, was done. He was mazaka yedei acher. Now we're waiting for you to say, yes, I want it. Until you say, yes, I want it, doesn't work. No one's saying it happens retroactively. I didn't say that. Okay? And I have no reason to say that would create a lot of nafkamis la'alacha, which I'd have to be able to prove. Okay, but even it comes mikan ve'elach, naniach, that's the agdor, but that's what's happening here. So poidim tfiya is a schus mammon, but it's not yours. It's a potential. You can make it yours whenever you want. It's a mammon which is not tfusa, which is set for you should you want it. After tfiya, it's yours. It's definitely yours, okay? It's definitely yours. Naniach, I'm going to agree that without chalukah, it's not yours, Mesuyam, because you can't have a bilas and davar shein and Mesuyam. Let's be very honest about this.
But how is Rabbi explaining that it's still his, but he can still be mochel? How is there an extra step there?
It's a shibud.
Rabbi's saying once he...
It's chutzmah, but not a bilas gemura. When he wants it, it becomes his schus mammon. Beforehand, the father gave us schus mammon, but he didn't get it yet. He gets it with his gilui das. That's what the Ran writes of the Kuf Chavav. So the Tfiya, no, he has what the father gave. What did the father give? The father gave him a schus mammon in the tfusa to be taveh from the Yoshim, as we explained with the Nesivus. If we're going to say that he owns it immediately, they became Shaimrim. And that would be a din of Shmira. There wouldn't be a lach of Malva V'Loiv and Shibudim. Pasha says, no, even after the Tfiya, it's a Shibud, and now they're Chayiv. That's what the Nesiv says. Now they have a Chayiv to give from the Tfusa. If we're going to say he has a Chelik Mesuy, it's not a Chayiv to give from the Tfusa. It's there. Who cares? Who cares? I have money there. Give it to me. So the Nesivus is muchach what I said, that until now it's only a shibud. If not, what would I need our shor for? If I decide I want it and it's mine, so you guys are not my baldin anymore, it's mine. The Teretz says that's not true, it's not yours, you have a tfiya on us. And the tfiya is on us, so I have to know that you're the nitva, you're the teveya. That's why I definitely think that even after tfiya, it's still, before chalukah, it's still a shibud. From the Gemara and Kuf Chav Zayin, from our shor. At the end of the day, this is what happens by the Bchor. I repeat again. With the death of the father actually was makna a schus mammon to the Bchor in the Tfusa. With the chiv of the Yoshim, of the Balei HaTfusa, the Yoshim, to give him from what they have. And that's a chiv even a kakaf to the Gavra. Okay? But he doesn't have that schus mammon. He's not the owner of that schus mammon. So what's happening now in the Tfusa? In the Tfusa lies a mammon klali and a mammon prati. something which can become a party, but it's not inherently part of the tfus. It's a separate bailus, waiting for you to accept it. But the chatchila was mufrash as a separate bailus. The death had two things happening: a separate bailus of pishtayim, which is matana, and a tfusa. With a chiv of the tfusa to deliver it, he was mezaka it through the tfusa. I'm using the Lashonish of the Ran. Okay, very nice. When does that zchus mamon become yours? When is there a teveya to that zchus mamon? When you say you want it. If you don't say you want it, or you say you don't want it, there's no teveya. The shibud without a teveya dies. There's nothing there. It belongs to tfusa proper. That's what it boils down to be. Now here's an interesting shayla. If it's after the tefillah, so already you have the zchus mamon. So although it's only a shibud, and in the shibud l'chayra the din is by one rule. I know that shvach that l'chayra there's no roy ashbach in the simplest sense. Not my soda. Definitely me ikra din shvach shayidei yitzia. If you learn the Rambam and the Sugya and Daf Kuf Nun Zayin, you'll know that shvach shayidei yitzia is not really belonging to the balchayv. Me'ikra din, it's a din of the ikna, whatever it is. I'm not going to go there because you didn't learn the sugya. I'm sure you didn't. If I'd been Beis Medrash, I would have made you guys all learn that. So you didn't. So I'm gonna cut the chase. Please read this Reb Chaim from the words V'hinei Kosher to the words. Let's read the second paragraph. In the old Reb Chaim's, this kind, page 105. I mean, I have this since I was a kid. It still says Blachman with two olives in it. Beis Lamed Aleph Chof Mem Aleph Nun. Okay, so I actually found in here a memorial service in Tel Chicago for Rav Kahneman and Rav Chatzkel Sarna. This is a long time ago. This is a long time ago. Ooh boy. Tafshin Chof Tes to be exact, 1969. Anyway, going back to here. So
just to confirm with Rebbe, is the only reason why the Bechor...
Let me just finish, and then I'll take the question, okay? Because I want to finish, okay? So therefore, what we know is as follows: that the after Tviyah, at the moment I understand specifically based on the Sivas of the Schus, it's a shibud, but it's a shibud which is Einu Yochel Salke Bezuzah. And therefore, the Rabbi himself says, "B'kai Gavna, there's a regular din of Soda Shli Ashbach." I don't care if it's just a shibud. My Soda and my shibud was Mishtabech. That's mine. I have a mind to write for Tfiyah and this is what grew with me. So he doesn't differentiate between Bailis and shibud as far as that's concerned. If it would be like an apoytikim of Irish. The only reason not that way is Kiyachal Salke Bezuzah. Hitaka writes that even if Yeshel B'chor Kadim Chaluka, he wants to say that Liber de Rabbanan, that's not true. He believes that even Liber de Rabbanan, it's not enough. It's not a Bailas Gemura enough, even after Kadim Chaluka, even for Shvach. The Taisus also writes that Cheats that Taisus and Ramah, they believe that even a Yeshel Korban Chaluka, it's not a total Bailas enough for Shvach. So let's get this straight. We're talking about some kind of a right for. We're not talking of proper ownership according to them. Now I'm going according to the Rashbam. Rashbam's shita is that after Tviyah, although it's l'chara only a shibud, afal pikein, there's no problem. The reason is because it's a shibud not for mamon, it's a shibud for the gufa karka. Eine yachal l'salke bezusta, and there the Rashbam writes of kuf nun zayin divrei masal omer of misharsha, ois kuf samachay, b'kai gavna, there won't be a problem. That's number one. Now what's the machlekes of Rebbe Rabbana pre-Tviyah? Pre-Tviyah is where the machlekes is. Now here it gets very interesting. You just have the Bavli, you simply learn that the pshat is in the Chanami, pre-Tviyah. He doesn't have the Schus Mammon, although it's waiting for him, but he doesn't have it, so we can't say a Roy Ashbach. And therefore it's only a question of your Yerush and some machlekes in the Psukim, whether it's called Matzui or not Matzui. The problem lies that the Tosefta Mefurish says not that way, and we have no Bavli arguing with it. The Tosefta said that the reason of Rebbe is because a Roy Ashbach. Shaloi Ishbiach Bishalahem. It is Rabbanon that say it, we argue, is because of the Pasuk of Yibatzeh. Implying we do not have a brisa to say that the reason of Rebbe is because that is called Yimatzeh. We do not know that in the brisa or in the Gemara. We would know that from the first lashon. The chayre does come from the stem of the Gemara in Daf Kuf Chav Dal Amud. Also, not. Oh, he says we don't have the miyut that they said. The Chuf Chav Dal Amud it's mashma that since he's arguing whether or not this is Mismai Yimatzeh, we're only talking about Yerush Midin Yimatzeh. That's the stem of the sugya, as we explained. What is Rebbe hold? Rebbe holds we don't have the criteria of Davar Shalai Bala Ilam, therefore it's called Yimatzeh. But if there'd be a din of the, I'm taking it not because of Yerusha, because my shibud was, my schus mama was mishtabeh, why would you care? So l'chayr kum tais, the sugya Gemara goes not like the Tosefta. Okay, possibility one, these Amoraim did not know this Tosefta. Possibility one, we've already came across that. Not that it's very pleasant to say, possibility one. Possibility two, which I prefer. Because I'd rather do that than to say that Amoraim made mistakes in Divrei Tanoim. And that is because at the end the Tosefta is there. That means that Tanoim explained themselves. That means that Amoraim made a mistake. That is not a pleasant thing to do, to say the least. It's possible, but not a pleasant thing to do. And there may even be nafkaminas. You'd have to start rolling this all over the place. Therefore, it would seem to be that the pshat is like this. Rebbe says basically it's very clear that whether it's you're going to call it matzui or not, at the end of the day he's going to have it anyway. Medina Roy Ashbach. Rebbe believes that although he doesn't own the schus mama, but since until he says I don't or I do, it is a schus mama which he doesn't have yet. The schus mama is a mama prati, mishtabech. It's not his yet, but it's a separate place. It's not part of the tfusa. It's a shaloi. It's something which will be his, can be his, depending on him, but it's a separate entity. And therefore he says, therefore it's a never pasha that he's going to get it, even if he's not the bottom of it yet, but he can be it as soon as he says he wants it. It was given already. In the tfusa, there are 2 units. If that's the case, he says that's the case, there's going to be never Roy Ashbach. So he says, if that's the case, you can't possibly say that the Yimatzeh is going to be mayit that, because practically he's going to get it without that. So al kocha, we don't think that's koli in the miyut of Yimatzeh. Since it's a davar pasha, he's going to get it anyway. So don't say you can't get it in Yerusha. He's going to get it anyway. So it's not mistafer. That's mismayit even from Yimatzeh. That's all he's saying. Shalai yishbech b'shalahem. He's mixed into their tfusa, as we said before, because the shibud in the tfusa for his chelik mammon, but it's his. It's his chus mammon. Although he didn't take it to himself yet, but it's a different entity. So here it's called shaloi, with a little twinkle of the eye. Shaloi means, yeah, it's set aside for him. It can be his whenever he says so. And he says, Shaloi shbiach shalem, and therefore there's a din of a roy ashbach. If there's a din of a roy ashbach, therefore mamela, it's not mistaber to be mamayited from Yimatzeh, and we're not going to darshan matan kai rachmana like the Rabbanon. You know, the reason we don't darshan matan kai like Rabbanon is because, brother, he's going to get it anyway, midina roy ashbach. So don't create criteria which will be mayit that. That won't be right. He's arguing with the basic concept. Rabbanan say no. Rabbanan say A. They do darshan that, as we explained. What does it mean? A, either because they believe there's no roy ashbach even on that, since practically it's not his. Possibility number 1. Possibility number 2 is what Taisvis writes. Taisvis writes mefurish in Daf Kuf Chavav Amud Beis. He has a problem because he believes Yesh L'Bchor Kodem Chalukah is a reason to get shvach. He says Afal Pikein, it's a din of Yimatzeh, which is Mamayit. Now, what's that Agdora? If Yesh L'Bchor Kodem Chalukah, you're supposed to get shvach because you're the owner. How's Yimatzeh Yimayit? The teretz is what Yimatzeh is. Yimatzeh says, what I give you, I can give you something that I have. I can give it to you and it's totally yours. But if I can give you something that I don't totally have, then you can have it, but you can't have it for its shvach. Your bias in it is weakened. That's it, Taisvis. You want to see it? Taisvis says in the version Kuf Chavav Amid Beis V'Masl V'Hilchasa that although Yeshlo B'Chor Kodim Chaluk and you should be getting shvach, Afal Pekin it's mismai from the pasuk Yimatzei. Equals in Afal he's not taking me in Yerusha. But Yimatzei is magdir. What am I giving you? Lechatchil? Am I giving you something which has shvach in it, or I'm not giving you something which has shvach? And he believed that the scene of the Russia is not a Russia. She has by shvach. It's a different quality of ownership. I'm giving you. If I can't personally give you the shvach, what I'm giving you doesn't have shvach either. That's how Taisus learns. So that's another possibility. Taisus learns that way. It's another possibility of saying that even according to the Rashba. Okay, so I've summed this up, and this is the pshat in the sugya. I'm moving on to Shtar Chayv, and this to know Shtar Chayv like a human being. Here it's just one. Here it's only like 3 lines, but you really have to learn Kuf Chav Daled Amid Beis at least, okay, until the Machlekes of Rav and Rav Nachman until the last 4 lines. Just to be fast. First row Gemara, Rashbam. Okay, as far as the Taisus, which are very, very important, yeah, a lot of them. Specifically, Ein Abchornet L'Pishnayim, and the Taisus Gavamois Yeshlai. Every piece of Rashbam here is worth $1 million. The Rashbam here is very important in the Ramasel Yoshu Shtar Chayv. You have to, and the Ramasel Yotz Aleim Shtar Chayv. You have to obviously connect it to the Mahalach of the Sugya and Amid Beis. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye. Take care. Bye. Yes, Suzanne, 1 minute.